Historically, when you think about Battlefield, you think Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, maybe Bad Company if you're an old fart like me. That's large scale maps, vehicles, working with your squad for the objective, actually playing the objective, which is, you know, rocket science for a COD player. Destruction, all the stuff that we've come to love in Battlefield, like that's its identity. It's the type of feeling that I haven't seen another game replicate, and that's why we all keep coming back to Battlefield, hoping that it's not another 2042 or Battlefield 5, even though some people liked it. They never really dipped into the Battle Royale, and I heard early on in 2042 they actually started building it as a Battle Royale. I'm not sure if that's true or not. They started down that path and then shifted directions back to a traditional multiplayer, and they just didn't do a good job. The reason why I think RedSec is a giant shift for the franchise is because they set up a whole studio just to develop it. That's a ton of money, that's a ton of personnel, lots of budget, lots of talent that they've said, no, you're just going to work on the Battle Royale mode and we're going to commit to this. I think EA is definitely out to make some money. I think they've seen the huge amount of money in the revenue that Warzone, for example, and Fortnite have generated. And I think there's a lot of people there that actually do believe in the Battle Royale game mode as it is. Free to play with battle passes, all of that, like that whole business model is really appealing to somebody who wants to make money. And obviously EA hasn't done a great job of making money recently. Look at some of their other games that they've released. So if they're putting all of that capital into building RedSec, it's not just an experiment, it's a commitment. And how do we know that? Because this is exactly how Activision treated Warzone in its early days, right when it came out. The Warzone and COD relationship is something we can look at as kind of a test to see how this is going to go. As soon as it hit the market, Warzone was the hottest thing.
I think I just saw a scope.
What? Oh, are you hit? Oh my god, I just got hit by a fucking truck!
Oh my god, Sancho! I just sniped! I died!
Shit, no one's behind us.
Yeah, you can see him.
Downed him. Wow. Get.
Another one, I think that's gotten down. Lyric, fall back to my middle revive. I'm up. You win? Yeah.
Ah! Ah! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh dude, something.
No way! What the? Oh, vielleicht kann ich ihn kaputt fliegen.
Just in the first 24 hours, Warzone hit 6 million players. That is insane. That's so many people. You better believe that they made a ton of money off of it. The way that they hit those numbers was it was a free-to-play game, obviously. So you know they had to make their money somewhere. Every live service game now has to have a battle pass. They're gonna grip you up. They're gonna get that milk, milk you for all that sweet money. All the cosmetics, and this is the huge argument we've seen with Call of Duty recently, where nobody likes all the crazy skins, but it's like, I mean, they have to keep one-upping themselves. They have to keep doing collaborations and all that stuff. I mean, they're trying to make money, guys. Like, we're the dumb ones for continuing to buy it. I mean, just look at these hours watched on Twitch. It's insane. Warzone, when it first released, was like a cultural icon, and all the battle pass sales, the operator bundles, the weapon skins. You want to talk about big money? End of 2019, Warzone hadn't released yet. Call of Duty is kind of floundering. It actually was the lowest year in 4 years that they had on revenue based on these charts. Boom, 2020, March of 2020, Warzone releases. All of a sudden, they jump billions of dollars. Went from 6.5 to $8 billion. Next year, even higher, $8.8 billion. And these are insane numbers. So obviously, it was worth it for them to put more money into Warzone. And tons of content creators were playing the game on Twitch. Obviously, we saw the charts. You wonder why they're so obsessed with battle royales now. I mean, look at what happened with Fortnite and Warzone. Like the streamers that we watch now, how many of them got their start during that time? How many of them got their start because of the battle royale mode? So to make my point, what was one of the first things that Activision did when they started looking into Warzone and building Warzone, putting their money where their mouth was and starting to build this battle royale? They put Raven Software in charge of Warzone. Around this time is where we had some stagnation in the multiplayer. There really wasn't any development. And now you look at the difference between Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7. Now everyone's like, it's the same exact game reskinned. Because I think it actually is. They don't have the resources anymore to actually innovate on multiplayer in Call of Duty because they're putting all of the resources directly into Warzone. The movement in the multiplayer was based on what they developed for the Battle Royale. The gun balancing was done first for the Battle Royale, and then it was moved to multiplayer afterward. The map design for multiplayer started to suffer because they didn't have as many resources to work on it. That's when you started to see a lot of Call of Duty fanboys since forever say stuff like, this isn't Call of Duty anymore, multiplayer feels neglected, Battle Royale is the real game now. And content creators started to shift everything toward Battle Royale. That's where the numbers were. It's not in multiplayer anymore. The whole identity of the franchise started getting wrapped up only in this Battle Royale mode. What was the real reason they decided not to listen to their fans? Are they intentionally trying to make bad games? They're just making a yearly release that they know people aren't going to like, and they're just putting all of their emphasis into Warzone now? No, I think think the developers actually do care. I think that they actually do want to make a good game, but I think they're being completely handcuffed by the ownership and by the financial engine. It's the same reason that skill-based matchmaking and disbanding lobbies and things like that people complain about so much, and it's like, oh, that's all I want. That's why they say, well, we can't really do anything about it. Well, the developers do. It's because Activision won't let them. It's a retention device. In allowing developers to change that mechanic, they would be giving up money, and they know that. They're not going to let that happen. And it's the same thing with Warzone. They're not going to leave money on the table. A traditional $60 game has finite value. It's $60. That is nothing. That pales in comparison to what you get off of cosmetics in a battle royale on a battle pass. It's an infinite revenue runaway. And what's crazy is now that Warzone numbers are down an insane amount since the peak of what it was, 6 million players. It's nowhere near that now, and it still beats the multiplayer. It still beats the multiplayer. So do they care if the audience pushes back if they're still making more money? No. No, they don't. And they're not going to care. Until there's a financial incentive to do so, they're never going to change what they're doing. And so with all that said, Call of Duty is obviously in a bad spot with the fans. They're feeling competition now from Battlefield. The thing is I think right now Battlefield is in the same position that Call of Duty was 5 years ago. They just put a ton of money into having a studio develop RedSec. They're getting into the Battle Royale space. They're getting a taste of that sweet money. And this is where we have our hinge point. This is what I expect if RedSec does succeed. If it does out-earn Battlefield 6, which I think is a high bar because Battlefield 6 did so well. If RedSec can make more money than Battlefield 6 and show the leadership that it's a viable option to make a ton of money, you're going to get more seasons centered on Battle Royale. They're going to steal some of those developers that did such a great job on Battlefield 6 and they're going to put them over on RedSec. You're going to get slower updates to game modes like Conquest, Breakthrough, Escalation in the multiplayer. And then the identity of Battlefield is going to start to go away from those big maps, everything we've talked about, into Battle Royale. And not only does the game change, but the player base is going to change as well. I mean, look at COD. The expectation of what a Battlefield game will be will change forever because the people playing it are not the same people. I think that's a permanent change, and I feel like it's something that you can't really come back from if they do make that decision. And then on the flip side, if RedSec fails, what I see them doing is going back even closer. I mean, they've seen the reaction to Battlefield 6. They've seen what's happened. People love that game. There's some small problems. It's the closest thing to Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 that we've had. So I see them going that direction if RedSec fails. And a third option I'm thinking about is if it does fail, there's a sunken cost fallacy where they've already put so much money into it, they want to see it through. Realistically, with the new ownership of EA, I don't know how that happens. I think they'd probably just wash their hands with the whole idea, but that is a possibility. One hopeful thing I want to point out is that Warzone was actually received really well. It's a very marked difference between how RedSec is being received. And while Warzone does have a lower rating on Steam than RedSec does, about 15% less, the initial impact and the cultural phenomenon that Warzone was is, if you look at the comparison, it makes RedSec look like nothing, really. I talked about this a little bit in a previous video, but I want to show some of the reactions of what streamers and content creators are saying about RedSec right now, and we can contrast that to how they were acting about Warzone when it first dropped. I think that'll give us a little bit better idea of what's going on.
I don't think it's a bad battle royale by any means. In fact, I think there are some really nice elements to this that I'll be talking about in this video. But at the end of the day, I'm just not a battle royale guy, and this isn't enough to really bring me back into the battle royale genre.
First up, the audio bluntly is not good. I don't feel like there's enough plates in the world. The crates. I also feel like there should be more crate spawns in the world as well. It's a ton of fun. It's a fresh take. I like the skill gaps that are there. I'm having a good time. I'd probably right now, as it stands, give it like, a high 7, a low 8 out of 10.
RedSec currently has a mostly negative rating on Steam, and the complaints are loud and clear. RedSec just wasn't something that anyone was asking for, and it's part of a wider problem plaguing Battlefield 6.
So after all that, is this comparison between Warzone and RedSec actually fair? Yes, but for an interesting reason. It's not about which one is better or which one is succeeding more, which one's making more money. It's more about the direction of the company. I think with the difference of how they've been received, the most likely outcome is that one, they may pivot completely away from Battle Royale after RedSec and then focus more on the multiplayer and continually make it better and put all their money and innovation into that. Or RedSec holds its own. It financially maybe doesn't do quite as well as multiplayer. Maybe it does a little bit better, but it's pretty much a wash, and maybe they'll be able to balance those two things. Realistically, I don't think RedSec has the legs that Warzone had to be able to shift the entire franchise. Warzone got released, it exploded, and it changed the entire trajectory of Call of Duty. In comparison, it seems like RedSec is like a test. It was a probe that was sent out by EA to see what the reception would be, to see if they could actually do it, to to see if they could make a quick buck. And by the community, for the most part, it's kind of just being tolerated. I think in a few months, nobody's going to be playing it. And I could be dead wrong on that maybe they have a bunch of stuff up their sleeve that I don't know about. But at the end of the day, it's not about whether RedSec is good. I think it's all right. I think it could be called good. But is it good enough that EA is going to change their entire business model going forward? I guess we'll have to see. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Am I not being fair to RedSec? Do I just suck at the game? The answer is yes. I obviously suck at the game. You suck at the game. We all suck at the game. But either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't, if you like the video, and you're gay.
Subscribe to the channel where you live. Mouth to the TV, that's the name. Run it up, no shame. Or you gon' hear it.